Hey there everybody, this is Lee with Creative2xmom, and today I'm going to share with you what we are using for history this year. As you guys know, I have three homeschoolers, the ages 6, 10, and 12, and this is the history that I am using with my 6-year-old and my 10-year-old. They are in 1st grade and 5th grade, and so we decided that this year we were going to depart from our typical curriculum and we were going to go to Story of the World. So in the past, we've used the Beautiful Feet curriculum, and I debated on using that again this year. It was really my first choice, but then when I started discussing this with my daughter, we would have been doing early American history for 5th grade, and I realized we've done a lot of American history. So we decided that we were going to jump on the 4-year cycle with Story of the World and give that a try. And I talked to a few people that said it'd be pretty easy to combine. That was my criteria. Something outside of American history and something that I could combine at least 2 of my kids, because with 3 homeschoolers, it is tough. So we decided to give Story of the World a try. So what we've got here is the teacher's manual, the reading book, the workbook. I did not purchase the test booklet, and for a while we had the CDs, but I returned them to the school library. I thought they would be nice to have in the car because we listen to stories in the car quite a bit, and we just ended up not using them. So we've been reading out of the reader. For each lesson, there is a reader, and for example, this chapter was chapter 20, and we were talking about Greece. So each section, each chapter is divided into about 2 or 3 sections, and it goes through some of the history, some of the mythology of that area. None of them are too long. Some of them are shorter than others. The one that we read today was again about Greece, and it was probably only about 6 or 7 pages long. This one was a little bit longer, probably more like 12. It takes us about an hour every day to do history. And then I'll open up the teacher's manual, and this is the lesson that we just did today. So let's talk about that one while it's fresh in my mind. Each section that you read, it will give you some review questions to go over with the kids, or you can have them paraphrase and just a narrative for that section. I like to go through the questions, and as I go through these questions, it sometimes spurs on other conversation that we can go through about the reading. So this chapter that we read today was divided into 2 sections, so there's 2 of those. This is probably my favorite part of the teacher's manual, is that there is this section for each chapter: additional history reading and corresponding literature suggestions. So as I'm planning my lessons, I open this up and I go to my library and say, what from here can I pull? And then that goes into our morning basket. It goes into extra read aloud time, so that we're not just getting just the story of the world, but we're actually pulling in other resources as well. I love this because a lot of times in the literature section there is corresponding myths, fairy tales, that sort of things from the culture, and you get to know a lot more about not just what was happening in history, but also the culture of the people that we're living in. After that, there's a section for map work. We always do the map work. I feel like you guys know I'm big on geography, so the map work is a great way of pulling it all together. After that, in your student pages, there is a coloring page. We almost never use the coloring page. My little guy's just not into coloring, so that we kind of skip over that. And then every time there is projects. Some of these projects are super involved. Some of them are not. Now today it was like a lot of food. There was an ice cream Greek boat, which I knew was going to be a very involved project, and I said, skip it. There was a gingerbread Parthenon, which again, crazy super involved project that I just didn't want to touch. And then there was a sculpting a stone sculpture, which you were going to actually make out of bar soap. This was the one that I chose. And then I decided we were going to use our Evan Moore history pockets instead. However, that would have been the one that I would have chose. With the projects, you'll see things like craft projects, recipe projects, activity projects. Sometimes, for this chapter, there was a Peloponnesian game, which is part of your student pages. Sometimes we will go ahead and do that. I like to do the hands-on stuff as much as I can, but if it all looks like it's going to be too involved, sometimes I fall back on the game. So since we didn't do a project in this chapter today, I will show you what we did instead. So this is my 1st grader's binder, and I just flipped open to his history section. You can see we've got our maps, One day we talked about Greek culture, and so they had to look up designs and color the vase. We've got the maps. But what I picked up this year to go along with our story of the world were these history pockets by Evan Moore. I love Evan Moore products, and their history pockets are really great. So the one that we are doing right now is, of course, ancient Greece, and it has a story every time. Always opens up with a story, and you create your pocket. So this is the one for ancient Greece. The first day, we've been doing the vocab cards. So as we do the reading, we make cards and we put the definitions. There's usually about 4 for each lesson. After that, we go ahead and we do the projects from there. Today we created the Parthenon. We talked about Athena, the goddess of war. She hasn't quite made it into this pocket yet. So if I'm looking through a story of the world, I don't see a project that we really want to do, then I fall back on my Evan Moore history pockets and we do a project out of there. The ancient Greece one included the Parthenon, and included talking about theatrics, and so they're going to create some masks. We are going to be doing, and then each one in the ancient history has where you create a postcard. So you color it, paint it, whatever, and then you talk about things that you would see or do in ancient Greece. Okay, so here's his Parthenon. It was just a folding book where it opens up. It's got Athena, the goddess of war, and facts about her. And then when he's done, this will slide right into the pocket. So all in all, I'm really happy with it. We decided to give this a shot mostly because it would pull the two together, and I really like the idea of the 4-year cycle. So Story of the World goes in a 4-year cycle. This year we've got ancient history. Next year we'll have medieval. The 3rd year will be early American, and the 4th year will be modern American. So I'm very excited to kind of hop on board with that. It, in my mind, makes a lot of sense. And we're going to be supplementing with as many of these Evan Moore products as we can find as we go along, because I feel like that's a good hands-on supplement for learning history. One final thought before you leave this video is check out the description box below. There will be a playlist of lots of YouTube homeschoolers reviewing their history curriculum today, and I'm excited to find out what everybody else uses. We found a system that I like this year, but I'm always open to new ideas, so check them out as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Leave me a comment down below. What are you using for history this year, and does it work well for combining ages? Because that's pretty important in our home. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.